What's up, Deep Space Cinema here with Miguel. We have a special episode talking about top 10 movies of the 21st century for each of us. And this is going to be the most challenging thing that I've ever done in my entire life. As you can tell, I've had a very difficult life. If this is the most challenging thing I've ever done. But when you create a top 10 list, Miguel, my initial response was like, okay, just I'll be able to sift through that real quickly. And then next thing you know, I've written down like 40 movies. And now I'm trying to really do my best because it's a mixture of, okay, is this by how much bias goes in, which there's a lot of bias that goes in, but then you try to be as objective as possible. So I have created for myself, this is for me. This is why I think our lists are going to be very different. I basically gave my movies a score and had four like criteria for that score, and it was overall movie experience. And for some of these, it's because my theater experience was incredible. There's something there, or like just when I watched it, just how that felt. Personal attachment was one. Overall quality, of course, and then cultural relevance. So I had, like some, and I gave them kind of a score, and I tried to rank them according to that score. Before everything, I want to go on a limb and say this, or did I go on a limb? But I just want to put a disclaimer. I intentionally left Star Wars out, even though Star Wars takes the cake for me for cultural relevance and personal attachment and movie experience and everything. Maybe not overall quality, but I was like, all right, we're gonna leave that out there because it's too important. Star Wars is so important to me that I was like, all right, we're not gonna put that in there, especially when we're taking in the totality of everything. So I got them ready to go. I got my top 10. I'm fired up. Are you ready to do this thing?
I am so I also have a not very strict way of ordering my movies. I
Okay.
got it down to like 2021, so meaning like 20 or 21 movies, give or take. And then the first like four are very clear in my mind. Like the order is unmovable.
Mhm.
So for the rest, it was a little bit more challenging, and we'll get into it. Like, and I also think that I will have to take another look at my top 10 of all time at some point, because some
Right.
movies in my top 10 of all time are like charting quite low here
Mhm.
comparably. Uh, so for that, I was having a mixture of my personal attachment and what I actually think that the
Okay.
quality of this movie is. So
Right.
yeah, we'll get into it, and I am actually quite satisfied with my list. I think it's
Okay.
quite diverse, and there's a little bit of everything, and
Mhm.
that's also how I like my movies. So I'm
Mhm.
I'm quite satisfied with it.
Yes. I feel horrible about my top 10. I'm stressing out about it as we speak, but that's okay. That's where the fun is. And so one thing that made this interesting too for me is like I grew up, I would go to the movies with similar interests at the time, like big, sci-fi thrillers, action movies, superhero things, that kind of thing. And then he would kind of introduce me to a few movies here and there from like the 80s. So I feel like a lot of my favorite movies tend to be from like the 70s, 80s, or early 90s when he kind of introduced me to some of his favorites. And then I kind of didn't wasn't super into movies until around right during COVID was when I started really diving into a lot of movies. So we'll see how my list fares out. All right, here we go. Give
Oh,
me
by
your
the way,
yeah,
we
yeah.
should also mention that we're doing this in honor of the New York Times list that came out this week. So they
Yes.
published a hundred movies voted by, I think, Hollywood people, and then by actual readers.
Hmm.
And since then, like I've seen many people do their own lists. So I thought it'd be fun, since I honestly haven't seen many movies this past month, and the episode of the pod would have been a bit lackluster in that regard.
Hmm.
I thought this
Yeah,
would be fun.
it is crazy. I think once COVID hit, I've watched so many movies at home, and then once theaters open, it's like I'm there every other week now, just going as
Right.
often as I can. So anyway, number 10. What do you have? Number 10, 10th of all time
Okay, so
on
I'm
the
going first.
21st
Okay,
century.
so I think number 10 was the most challenging number for me. I think I had like four movies that I could see here, and I was also looking for a list that wouldn't be very repetitive, so meaning I don't have many, I don't know, thrillers or many
Hmm.
movies that uh, kind of go in the same genre or in the same plot line or whatever. So I was just looking at my list of whatever 10 or 12 movies that I had left to pick from, and I had like four candidates, and I couldn't really decide. And then I looked at this other title, and I was like, yeah, let's go with this. Let's go with this. And I am fully acknowledging that 2 years from now I may feel different,
Okay.
and that there's a lot of recency bias here, but I'm going Anora for number 10.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I am surprised it is at number 10. I thought this would be higher. I really did. I really thought it would be
No, no,
higher.
no, no. So what I tend to do when I do this list is to remove the recency bias from
I
from
can't. I could not. Let me just tell you, Nora's on my list, and it is.
okay.
We'll be here for a minute. We'll be here for a minute.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So, yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I've seen it 3 times. I started watching it the other night. It's on streaming here now, so I started watching it. I couldn't get through it through more than 10 minutes, more or less, because
Mhm.
it was like 11 p.m. But yeah, I love this movie. I'm looking forward to rewatching it once again. It's not on Blu-ray out yet, but I will buy
Right.
it as soon as it is.
Mhm.
I may also get even the Criterion Collection edition for the
Mhm.
movie. I love this one. I think it is very. It has a little bit of everything. It has a lot of
Mhm.
comedy, it has a lot of drama. It
Mhm.
will move you to tears, and it will also like make you laugh all at the same time. As this performance by Mikey Madison, which is like extraordinary, and it has
Right.
this absolutely unique style by Sean Baker. I love that this is a purely artist-driven vision. So
Mhm.
it's just, Sean Baker as the writer, director, producer, editor. He was the casting director as well, and may even have some more things to do in the movie. So it
Mhm.
was just his movie, and I love it for it. So yeah, that's my number 10.
No, Nora is amazing. I will talk more about it in a little bit, but
Okay,
yes, I love that
that's fair.
one.
That's fair.
So number 10 for me, I will say this: my honorable mentions, and I have a category of tough cuts. I think I like every single one of those movies more than my number 10. I will just say that. So this is kind of
I,
weird. I guess
I
it's a
think
little
it's the
weird to say.
same for me, but
Mhm.
yeah.
But this one, I think for movie experience and cultural relevance, I felt like I had to include a Marvel film in the top 10 just because it's been for so much of the 21st century has been the number one in the pop culture zeitgeist of movies, and just the casual conversation I think has been in that conversation more so than any other brand IP, out there. And so I put Black Panther at number 10, and especially because I love Ryan Coogler movies. Like every Ryan Coogler film he's done, like I watched Black Panther, and then every film he's done since then, like I have made a point to go see in theaters because I think that everything he does is just banger after banger. And then like obviously we had Sinners that just came out, and I loved Sinners, and the passing of Chadwick Boseman I think also kind of loomed large for me, where it was like we're not going to get other Chadwick performances ever again. And this was the one I remember just watching him for the first time, and the like the human experience and the gravitas that he brings and the vulnerability to this role, and just how culturally significant this was to a large demographic of people who maybe have felt unrepresented in the superhero genre as well. It to me, I had to put a Marvel film on there and I put it at the end just because of the conversation around just talking movies, especially too, like as I was in college and then high school when Marvel was really getting big. And so as a teenager, in early 20s, everyone's talking about these superhero films, and In-Game and Infinity War were such a big part of like my friend group experience at times. So I went Black Panther at number 10. It's the I wish it's not the only superhero movie I have on here, but that was what I put. I feel like I needed Marvel representation just because of what it's meant to the movie industry in a large way too, box office wise.
I mean, there are no Marvel movies on my list. I don't think anyone is strong. Any of them are strong enough to
Right.
actually make it to my
Mhm.
list. Not even like top 25 or so. I do like
Mhm.
Black Panther a lot. I think it falls apart in the third act, to be honest. I don't enjoy that final act as much. I think that
Mhm.
CGI is very clunky, and the
Right.
battle above ground in Wakanda is not the best for me. But I
Mhm.
do appreciate what the movie was going for, and so on. So yeah, I like the movie. It's not strong enough for me,
It's
but
lower. It did not score well in overall quality for me, but it got really high scores on my cultural relevance
right,
and movie experience. So it kind of bumped it up a little bit. I'll go first here for number nine. We can go
yeah,
back and forth. So this one is, again, I think there are a lot of movies better than this one, but a lot of this was personal attachment too for me. And this was a movie I only went to go see because I just moved to Orlando in 2019, and a bunch of like other friends that I was people like I have friends that I was with wanted to go see this, or people I was trying to become friends with, I guess, were going to go see this movie. I had no friends. I needed to make points.
I see, I
And
see.
there was like
I've been
and there
there.
was and there was a really pretty girl going to go see this as well. So I'm like, all right, I'll make an exception here and go see this film. And this movie actually in many ways opened my movie experience up as, a 22-year-old that started being willing to go see any type of movie. Like up until that point, I pretty much stuck with, maybe some action movies, the superheroes, the sci-fis, and hadn't really watched a ton of, dramas or biopics and some of like more prestige, drama type movies. Like I just hadn't really dived into that as much. And this one really opened me up to that. I cried multiple times when I watched this. It is Little Women, 2019, Greta
Okay.
Gerwig. I watched every Timothy Chalamet movie after this. I've seen everything. I loved him. And then Florence Pugh, just you go through the list of every person in that main cast from Laura Dern, Emma Watson. We have a Best Actress winning performance in this movie. It was nominated for Best Picture. It obviously didn't win, but this movie, I think, just serves as like a fulcrum, I guess, of and like a launching point of where my like kind of movie enjoyment and overall theater experience just kind of started trending in a more positive direction. And I feel like my started diversifying what movies I really wanted to watch at that point,
There's a best actress winning performance here.
or at least nominated, I believe.
Nominated? Yeah, sure she was nominated, but I don't think she won, and I don't think. So this was the movie that for me. So this was the movie that for you, you found Timmy Chalamet through, right?
Yeah,
This
I had
was
not I had
yeah.
not seen
So this
Timmy
was
Chalamet.
for me the movie that I found Florence Pugh
Hmm.
in. This
Same.
was my no, actually no. I had seen Lady Macbeth by then, but I
Hmm.
did not remember her. Like
Hmm.
she like was good enough in that movie, but I did not stick out as this is a future movie star. And then I
Hmm.
saw this movie, and I was like, yeah, this is actually an excellent actress. I love this movie. It is not on my list,
Hmm.
but I do like it very much, and I also was very pleasantly surprised by when I saw it because I had seen that Lady Bird by now, and that this was Greta's next movie, and I was like, I mean, I'm sure that this will be fine, but the period aspect of the movie, there were some drawbacks for me that I was
Hmm.
a little bit apprehensive about, and then just I, I was just mesmerized. But
Hmm.
yeah. So number nine for me.
Okay.
Number nine for me is Children of Men.
Okay. I have not
Have,
seen that one. It's on my
okay,
list. I have a long list of movies I want to see. That's on my list.
so Children of Men is uh, truly a masterpiece for me. It is amazing. Do you know the outline of the movie?
Not really though. I
So
just
okay.
saw a lot of things. I just
Um,
mark it down.
so I mean, I should say that it's been a minute since I've actually watched it. I watched it a few times, but it's been a minute since I've done it. I should go back to it actually, and it has like the quite like these impressive sequences that most people remember it for it, but
Mhm.
remember it for. But for me, it's just the whole thing. So the plot line is that there is this futuristic society in which there are no more children. So people are cannot get pregnant for whatever reason. I don't think it was explained in the movie, but now I
Mhm.
honestly cannot remember. And so there's like this sense, this apocalyptic sense of that this is going to be the last of humankind until we find a pregnant woman.
Mhm.
And there's this male character played by Clive Owen who basically goes through the movie protecting her from uh, basically to actually make sure that she is able to give birth and to ensure the continuity of humankind. And there are some sequences here that are absolutely breathtaking, both in the technical sense, but also like story-wise. You're
Mhm.
just the commentary here on society, and this was like almost 20 years ago. So I can't imagine what it would be like now
Mhm.
with the wars that we have going on. Are just quite amazing, and technically the movie is just marvelous. And I don't know, I cannot speak
Mhm.
highly enough about it.
What year did that one come out?
I think it's 2006,
Okay.
if I am remember correctly.
I mean, I'm all in.
Yeah,
I'll add it to my list for sure. No, it's on my list. I need to watch it. There's so many movies I want to watch out there, and that's what I was excited for this list because I knew you would have some that I definitely have not seen.
right.
So I'm
So
excited.
let me go
Number,
next then for
yeah,
eight,
number 8.
right? Well, so for me, eight is uh, a movie that I think is also extraordinary and that I think that gets overlooked many times. Maybe it's because people don't enjoy it as much as I do, but I genuinely think that this movie is amazing. That is Boyhood. Have you seen
Okay.
Boyhood?
I have not.
Okay, but do you know the premise of Boyhood?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Boyhood is this movie by Richard Linklater, who made this experiment where for 10 to 12 years, I think he started 6 years old and was following this kid uh, like every few months of his life. So it is a completely made up story, but we see the kid grow, we see the actor grow up as the actual character grows up, and the actor and also like the people surrounding him, of course. And he made this movie throughout like 12 or 14 years or so, following this kid as he grows up, as his parents get separated, as he starts meeting girls, he starts having friends, and it's just this, he is able to capture this feeling of growing up, and this feeling of having your life change every like 6 months, your body change every
Mhm.
2 months, you basically uh, this period of life where everything is so important and yet nothing matters at all. And then I cannot remember now the exact age at which we meet him, and then we leave him when he goes into college. So the
Mhm.
last few scenes of the movie, and for me, that for me are just amazing, is his first year, his first day in colleges. He meets his roommate, as he meets this new girl, as they go into this adventure into the wildlife for a day and
Yeah.
so on. And for me, it is. I think that most people crossed it off as an experimental movie where it was
Mhm.
mostly about this experiment of following a kid through life,
Mhm.
but it was able for me to capture a lot more than just
Mhm.
the off-screen plot line.
Mhm. Okay. I have heard of Boyhood, not one I've seen. I If I had to pick one of the two that you just mentioned, I would probably lean Children of Men, like number like probably higher on my list just based off of what you described.
Okay, no, that's
But
fair. That's fair.
Boyhood also would be interesting. I love those like coming of age type stories as
Yeah.
well, and like the growing up. So I would like that. Number 8 for me is 2013. It's 12 Years a Slave,
Okay.
and I watched this movie on an international flight when I was 19, 20 years old. And I had like a long time on the flight. So I was like, well, it's the first movie I'm going to watch. For whatever reason, typically when I'm on a flight, the go to is some sort of, high stakes thriller type action movie that's just going to kind of help me lock in for a couple hours, brainless watch to kind of pass the time. For no reason, I picked 12 Years a Slave. Not a movie that I had watched a ton of like these type of films. I'm over here crying on a international flight, so I'm stuck with these people for the next 10, 12 hours, and I'm crying, and we're only an hour and a half into the flight, so I'm sure people are looking at me like, is this person going to be okay? Is There's always that one person on a long flight that you're like, oh my gosh, this guy. And I was probably that. I might have been that person. So not only, especially like I think as someone who grew up in like rural America and for a large portion of my first life in a area that wasn't like the most diverse. And then since then, I've traveled a lot, and now I live in one of the most diverse, cities in America. And I think that journey has been interesting. But that movie, I think, sparked a lot of interest for me into doing a lot more like research and reading about what slavery meant, like chattel slavery was in America, the fallout from the Civil War in America, and then how a lot of that still permeates through society today. Like there's a book I read recently, it's called like How the Word Is Passed, and it's like 10 chapters, and each chapter is basically this journalist went to a different city or site in America and kind of delved into its history, and then how certain laws and certain customs, cultures, traditions that still exist today stem from slavery, and still like they're still felt in society, in today. There's another book I'm in the midst of reading too right now. It's like one of those really really thick, and it's from like a Christian author and like a theological perspective, but it's a very real perspective of how the church was complicit and contributed to the slavery as we know it here in America, what that looked like from Europe moving over. And it's just broadened my perspective so much, and this movie was the launching point for that. And not to mention that it's also just a brilliantly captured film of absolute heartbreak and what it was like to be separated for no real reason, especially because I think what's interesting about this movie that I appreciated was it started off with a black man that was free at one point and had to deal with the stigma of being a free black man in like the North, but then being put into slavery. And it's almost like he wasn't born into that slavery and escaped. It was he had his freedom stripped from him in America. And when you think about it, it kind of brought it full circle, thinking about what it would have been like to be from Africa, be stripped from your freedom and brought over. And this because this is a little bit later on. And so I really love this movie. It's one that I've rewatched a couple of times. I haven't watched it in the last few years, but it's one that every once in a while, it's like every one of those movies every few years, it's almost like I need to watch this. Let's like almost center myself and like resonate with where my country has come, where we are right now, which is not a great place. And it's just it's a great film, very touching. And yeah, number 8 for me.
So, 12 Years a Slave did not make my list, but it was very close. It was one
Mhm.
of these movies that I had in notation for number 10. Uh, so, yeah, I agree with everything you said. Obviously, I do not feel as attached to the story as I don't live in the US, and I don't have anything to relate to that in that regard. But uh, yeah, I mean, from a technical point of view and a story point of view, it is a great movie and deserves to be on the list. So I wouldn't disagree.
Mhm. Okay.
But and by the way,
So
your plane story did remind me of a movie that I did watch on a plane that is actually extraordinary, and at least I love it. I think more than most people,
yeah.
and will not make my list, but I think I will bring it up in the honorable mentions. So yeah, go
Okay.
on.
I'm excited for that. So number 7, I watched this came out in 2002. It is City of God.
Okay.
And I love this film. This was so I watched this during COVID when movie theaters were closed, couldn't really go to the movies, and I was kind of in this early phase of wanting to explore like everything that cinema had to offer, and this was one of the first ones that was on my list. And so I watched this. Have you seen this one?
Yep.
Okay. And so that movie is incredibly done in the way it's portrayed, and you have these two people that are in the same point. One becomes the photographer slash like reporter, and then you have the other that becomes like the kingpin of the slums of Rio de Janeiro. And this the heartbreaking tale that does. But it's I think what's remarkable about this one is there's so much in this movie that would kind of break your heart, make you feel tremendously sad and broken, but they're able to tell that story with this like almost silver lining of like hope because of how he's able to navigate that and find a better like life for himself in a sense, and bring these things up. And you leave it really contemplative, and I think it really captures the heart of what was going on, especially like I think it's like 70s, 80s or something like that when it's the time period of the film when it's captured. And not that I am an expert on Brazil by any stretch of the imagination, but from that film, what I have read about it since, because I love to watch something and then kind of research more about it. This seems to be one of the most authentically uh, captures the authenticity of what was going on in this time, what is happening in this area, and the true, just heartbreak or like downtrodden nature of what people are almost born into rather than choosing that for themselves. And it's almost like you're forced to make those decisions at such a young age.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie is also great. I have seen this movie a few years ago and I rewatched it last year and I think I had forgotten how good it was, actually. Did not make my list either. It also wasn't like super close. I do not, I mean, there's no reason for me against it, like no argument for me against it, or no reason for me not to put it in the list other than I like
Mhm,
other movies
mhm,
some more. But uh, yeah, from a technical point of view, this movie is great. From a performance point of view, this movie is great. From a story point of view, this movie is great. Nothing against it. I fully respect your
mhm.
choice for sure.
So where are you at number 7?
Okay, so for number seven, I have I think a movie that you will have also, based on past comments, and that is The Dark Knight.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you are correct. You are
Um,
correct.
so interesting story for me in The Dark Knight. Uh, for me, this was a movie that I saw uh, no, 12, 13 years ago, more or less. And this was, I think, that the movie that got me into movies. It was
Mhm,
a 200. It was this movie that I saw first, and then a few months later, I saw Schindler's List. Both of
mhm,
those movies actually showed me the power of cinema in two very different aspects. The Dark Knight for me
mhm,
was like one of the first movies that I saw as as a teenager. Now moving past childhood and like these childish movies where adults are just a joke, and but also for me during like childhood and so on, I had like two kinds of movies. One that were absolutely stupid and that
mhm.
they were fun because you were like 6 years old and like
Right.
you would laugh at everything. Or you had like these very mature movies that you wouldn't even come close to understanding. And so for me, it was something that I didn't find anything in between until I saw The Dark Knight. And I
Mhm,
found this movie that was absolutely entertaining, absolutely um, uh, great from a technical point of view. I could actually see how much effort was put into this movie
mhm,
on every aspect. I was moved by perfectly built story, an entertaining one as well, and yeah, the and obviously, you have, of course, Heath Ledger's Joker at the center of it. That was just a standout in
Hmm.
pretty much any movie would have been, but
Right.
this one in particular. So yeah, I love this movie for that reason. It is one of these movies that is in my top 10 of all time because of this reason, because it
Hmm.
was one of these movies that showed me, okay, you can actually watch adult movies that they're not gonna bore you to tears.
Hmm.
And 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 yeah, but when I was putting together this list, I'm like, yeah, there are other movies that I don't feel as strongly attached to, but I think that are emotionally much more
Hmm.
demanding and much more rewarding as well. So that is why it's at number 7 for me.
No, no notes from me. I love that film. That you,
Yeah.
I'll be talking about it in a minute. Where you at on number six?
So number 6 for me, the movie that I found Timmy in, that is Call Me by Your Name.
Wait, say that again.
Call Me by Your Name.
Oh, okay, okay.
The 2017 Luca Guadagnino movie by Timmy and the now exiled Armie Hammer, because I refuse to let Armie Hammer's, you know, social media cancellation harm this movie in any way. This is pretty much a perfect movie for me.
Mhm,
I was absolutely mesmerized on watching this movie from the
mhm,
first second through the last one. It is one of these movies that just feels like it was they just had a camera and just put it in like somewhere and they just captured this story. It does not feel like an actual movie. It feels
mhm,
like something that they were just almost like a documentary, even like they were just filming
mhm,
real events. Then Timmy in this movie, for me, should have won the Oscar. I think that
mhm,
the performance that he gives in this movie is one, the best one he's given yet,
mhm.
and second was absolutely worthy of any award, and
Right,
they just didn't give it to him for a variety of reasons. First, Gary Oldman was up that year, and he was also due for an Oscar. Second, he was very young, and so on.
right.
But I think that if this movie came out today with Timmy being Timmy now, he would be in
It's locked
contention
up,
for that Oscar.
locked
The
up.
performance by Michael Stuhlbarg as well in that final like 10 minutes or so, that speech in the final 10 minutes is extraordinary. I There are some lines in that speech that moved me to this day, and yeah, I don't know. For me, it's a near perfect movie.
Mhm. I haven't. It's probably been 5 years, maybe more, since I've watched it, and
Yeah,
I I don't know why. It's on my tough cuts list. It's on my tough cuts. So I'll eliminate that for tough cuts later. But I need to. I will tell you this. I will probably rewatch that now in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now that you mentioned it, because that movie. I love Timothy Chalamet, and so what I love about Timmy, especially since kind of watching all of his films, is every time I see him in something, is he's very believable to me in whatever role that he's
yeah,
able to play. And like whether it's being, the Lisan Al Gaib of Doom to some of these more like soft spoken, really heartfelt, emotional roles that he's playing. And that to me is the hallmark of like what I want to see. And it's kind of ironic I put Little Women there because I think Florence Pugh does the same thing whenever she's
yeah.
in something. Like I 100% just believe whatever she's doing. And so no, I can't knock you for that one for number six. So number six. So I'm gonna be honest. After like my 6 through 1, there's no objective. This is just full fledged. I cannot live without these movies, and I do not care how. And I did tell myself I wasn't going to do this for my top five, or my top. I said I wasn't going to do this for my top 10, and then I ended up with two in my top 5, and I will tell you my cardinal sin later. And I give you full permission to make fun of me for it, but I do not care. Number 6 though is Anora for me,
Okay.
and so much the reason it wins the Oscar, which I know you were really cheering for. Like, we were talking about this a lot, and I was late to going to go see it. I didn't get to see it when it first came out. I went and saw it during the time they put a lot of the Oscar movies back in theaters before the awards show. And what I loved about this too is I anytime I have a great theater experience, like, that is number one, is like, there's personal attachment. Movie experience for me are so important. And Janelle and I, we go see movies a lot together. And that was a movie that she really wanted to go see. And so I was really excited because we go see it together. And I love, hearing her like laugh during those scenes, or we're watching this and we're having a big discussion about it afterwards. That epic, the great final scene of that movie, even, and just talking through that, and after being silent for about 5 minutes after. And this movie was so fresh, like, it was so new. And I think that's what I loved about it, was that this was not unlike any movie I've really seen to
Yeah.
this point. And I think, while recency bias probably has it in that, like, number 6 for me, I think I'm okay and I can live with that, just because of how unique this movie was, and how
Yeah.
Mikey Madsen, this is going to be like her. This is like the breakout role. And I think we're going to be seeing her for the next 20, 30 years in all these projects. And we're always going to come back to, like, this moment when we saw this film, when she won that Oscar. And so I'm okay having it number 6. I remember us talking about, like, Sean Baker's speech after he won. I think it was like when he won Best Director, I think, or was it Best Screenplay, or was it Best Director? Which one was it? He gave, like, I don't know which one. It was like
I
a
mean, he
very
won like
impassioned
four,
speech.
so it's
I
hard
can't
to know
remember
which
which
one.
one he gave, like, but there was the one particular speech that he gave that
Yeah.
I really resonated with. So yeah, number 6, Honora for me. Do not care if it's recency bias more. No notes. I'm all in.
I mean, this is one of those movies that I was like super enthusiastic about it when I saw it. I'm getting behind this movie no matter what.
Right.
But I also think I was telling everyone about it, even you. But I
Hmm.
was also a bit afraid of, am I overhyping this? Am I like
Right.
driving these people to see this movie and then they're gonna hate me for, or laugh at me because they didn't like it? I mean, it is. I wouldn't show this movie to my mom. It's not like a movie that can be seen or appreciated by everyone. It has
Right.
uh, a lot of. I mean, has this commentary about prostitution and
Mhm.
so on, and sex work that may rub some people the wrong way.
Right.
And I was also a bit afraid about that. For me, it worked for what it was, and I think that they did a very good job with it.
Mhm.
But then person after person that I recommended this movie to, or got to this movie, they loved it. So
Mhm.
I appreciate it even more for that.
Mhm. I, I know. I'm glad we were able to bond over this film. Like, I'm really glad that
Yeah.
that's something that exists. Okay, number 5 for me. And this is like a guilty pleasure. Like, I'm including this in the top 5, and I do not care, because so I really got into movies in 2018, 2019 was kind of, especially 2019, I really started going to the movies more. And then COVID happened, and I was watching so many movies from home, and my diversifying that portfolio, becoming, you started reading more about movies and how they're made, what certain director styles are different. And then when COVID, coming out of COVID, it felt like, is the movie industry dead? Like, is this something that's going to be a thing of the past, in a sense of, are we ever going to get back to these movie theater experiences? And is this going to become something we talk about, in the sense of, remember when we used to go to the movies? And then Top Gun Maverick came out, and it felt like it, as Spielberg said, saved movies. And I remember going to see this. And so when I saw Top Gun Maverick, I think you'll be surprised by this. I had never seen a Mission Impossible movie. I had never seen
Okay.
Mission Impossible movie when I had after seeing that. I had seen Top Gun. I had seen most of Tom's earlier like movies, like younger Tom Cruise. But I hadn't seen any of like action Tom Cruise really. I'd seen more like Magnolia, Jerry Maguire, A Few Good Men, those movies in the first Top Gun. And I saw this, and it was hands down maybe the most fun I've ever had. So, like, for personal experience, just fun. This was like one of the very first movies I saw post COVID on the IMAX screen with an audience around me. And that resonates. It was like a cathartic experience for me. And it was one of those moments that I will never forget. So there's like, for instance, there's a couple movies in my honorable mentions or tough cuts that are definitely like better films. Like there's a couple, best picture winners that I have in those better films. But when I think about what movies mean to me personally, and then this movie, what it meant for the industry, and I just had to include Tom and this movie in my top five. And we'll have a cardinal sin that I will get to later, but I know this will not make your top 10. I know this is not going to be in your top 10 because we have very different I think approaches to this too. But I felt like just for my personal sake and what this meant to me as an individual, as like someone who was really excited for COVID to get out, for movies to come back out, as we're getting out of COVID, because I'm like so excited because I have reached this place where I was ready to get a movie subscription so I could go see all the different movies that I had started watching during COVID. And I could go have these like theater experiences that I hadn't really had before. And this one was where I was like, okay, maybe we're gonna be okay. Like maybe theaters are going, to bounce back. And that's been a rocky road since then. It's not like everything is perfect now, but it gave me the hope that hey, this is going to continue.
Yeah, no, this movie did not even smell my honorable
Oh,
mention
I
list.
know it would. I know it wouldn't.
I actually did see this movie in the US. I saw this movie on this Sunday that Star Wars Celebration 2022 closed. I was in LA, and yeah, a bunch of us at Celebration just went to see it on Sunday afternoon. Um, Honestly, I was so exhausted that I was just almost nodding through it. So like,
Mhm.
but
That's fair.
I mean, it is a very fun movie. It is a very
Mhm.
American movie. It is a
Yes,
very hurrah.
it's quite literally like a commercial for like the Air Force or whatever.
It is pretty much that, yeah. But from a technical point of view, I appreciate it. The story, is all right and
Mhm.
very lackluster at times, but it
Mhm.
is fun enough and uh, entertaining and also like engaging enough
Mhm.
for me to appreciate the overall hype
Mhm.
that surrounded it,
Mhm.
and so I appreciate it for it.
Mhm.
But yeah, like when
I
I'm
needed to
thinking
include
of
something on here that was also just so like I love movies that I feel like are so rewatchable. I could put this on anytime and I'm like,
right,
I'm good. Like any
but
mood, anytime, I'm
for
good.
me, and maybe you will like actually include these movies, but if I'm thinking of action movies from the 21st century that I feel that way about them, it's not even like near the top for me. Like I would
Right.
put Mad Max much higher than this,
So
or
I have something
Fallout.
to say about Mad Max later. I have something to say
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. So okay, should I go on for five?
Yeah, go give me number 5. Give me number 5.
So okay, actually I mentioned earlier that I felt very strongly about the ordering of fourth through one. I feel very strongly about the order five through one. For
Okay.
me, number five is Moonlight.
Okay.
Have you seen Moonlight?
I have not seen Moonlight.
Okay,
It's number I have a list. It's like number 3 on my order, and number 2 is another one that you're going to be upset that I haven't seen. La La Land is number 2, and Moonlight is number
okay,
3, which is ironic that those 2 would be like 2 and 3 on
yeah.
my movie order
So
watch
what is
list.
number one?
Number 1, I'd have to actually go look. I didn't like make a point of
Okay, okay.
like bringing that up. The only
It
reason I remember is I knew that La La Land was
yeah,
important like to you, and then I knew
yeah.
I had a feeling you would have Moonlight.
Yeah,
Let me
so
get
Moonlight, we'll, we'll actually talk about La La Land later, but
my.
Moonlight was this movie that I was so in 2016, even before I saw either of these movies, there was like this feeling that the Oscar race was going to be between La La Land and Moonlight. And I remember like seeing Moonlight the day before I saw La La Land and just saying, okay, this is done. Like there is no way that this movie doesn't win Best Picture. Like this, there's no like I don't care how good La La Land is. There's no way that this movie is not the best movie of the year. For me, it was a transcending experience. It was this one of these movies that you're just locked into it from the first moment through the last. You
Mhm.
are just like it keeps going it keeps like going left when you think it's going to go right and right when you think it's going to go left, and it's not because it's a very complicated plot but rather because it's a very human story, and that's the thing that I care for the most,
Mhm.
and how personal it felt, how moving it felt, how deeply emotional it
Mhm.
was. And it's been a minute since I've watched this movie again. I've seen it many times now, but I am looking forward to the next time I actually put it on.
So I on my list, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is next up
Okay,
on my list,
so
and
number
then
one, that is your number one.
yeah, it's like next up on my like order of like ones I
Okay,
planning to watch. Sometimes I stray away from that, but then I like to have my like list of like,
right.
and then you have 2 and 3. I just told you Parasites 4, and then Office Space is 5.
Okay,
My my list. I have like there's like 100 on there, so
yeah.
we're slowly making our way through. Anyway, I digress.
What is
But
your
no,
five?
what my 5? Yes, let me get my.
I think no, no. You told me your five.
Yes, I told you my 5. So
Yeah,
give me
so
your
I have
4.
to
Give me
go
your
on.
4.
Yeah, my four. My four is There Will Be Blood.
Would be is
Is that
what?
There Will Be Blood? Is
Okay,
that
there we go. I don't know why I
one
leaned
you've
into
seen?
this. I have not seen that one.
Okay, There Will Be Blood is Paul Thomas Anderson's masterpiece from 2007. It is. I feel very strongly about this. I think this is the best performance that's ever been put to screen
Mhm,
by Daniel Day-Lewis in this movie. It is absolutely. It is another masterpiece, of course. Like I keep throwing this word around, but I mean, when you're talking about the best movies of the past 25, 26 years, like you have to bring this up. Uh, it is extraordinary from a story point of view, from a technical point of view. Like
mhm,
the direction of Paul Thomas Anderson here is just like something that will be studied in film class for many decades. Uh, the story and I mean this was also the movie that I think introduced Paul Dano to the world, and and for it that we're also grateful. Um, and yeah, there's not a lot that I can say that will
mhm,
do this movie justice, other
mhm.
than you should put it up on your list as
Okay, I'll move it up.
much
I'll
higher
start
than it
moving it
is.
up. I'll start moving it up. Number 4 for me is The Dark Knight,
Okay.
and this was personal attachment is probably why it's even higher is because it's a 10 out of 10, and this was the first movie that I saw twice in theaters. And it was my dad took me to go see this on a when my mom was out of town with my sister, and so whenever that happened, my dad and I would usually go and binge like we go to the movies like every day that they were gone, like on the weekend, we go or we do a double feature. And this was a day we went to go see Dark Knight, and then like the next day or it was like 2 days, we went to go see it again. And because he loved it, I loved it. I just remember like I have this very vivid experiences of going to the movies with my dad. And I know that this was the first movie I went to go see twice. Like I really remember going and seeing it twice. And it's not one of those movies where I watched it when I was 10 years old and then, I'm 20, 8 now and it's like, "Oh, that one doesn't hit the same as it did then." No, this
Yeah.
one it hits every single time. And then especially now like you mentioned when you were talking about it earlier like, you know, like the spectacle of movies and like what it can offer. And this one, from the opening sequence to
Right,
the performances like from Heath Ledger overall, and it really does. It's my favorite Batman movie. It's my favorite superhero movie, and yeah, I think having that personal like attachment of seeing it twice in theaters, and now I think there's lots of movies I go see multiple times, and that wasn't really a thing in my brain until this movie came out. And it's like, hey, you go see it. We can go see it again. My dad said. And I was like, oh, really? We don't have to wait for it to come out on DVD. No, let's go watch
right,
it again. Why not? And that was very important for me, for sure.
right. Yeah, I also like. I think I saw this movie for the first time on TV when I think they were promoting Dark Knight Rises, but I cannot remember
Hmm.
like for sure. Uh, and yeah, like less than a week later, I also put it on again. Like
Hmm.
there was uh, there was just something about it that spoke to me very highly, and yeah. So that was your number four, right?
Yes, that brings me to my number three. So
Yeah,
number three for me, this was this was the first movie that Janelle and I saw in theaters together. And that's very important because going to the movies is a fixture of our relationship. And in many ways, I don't think I could be marrying someone that did not like going to the movies. So this was like a
right,
big thing. Like, are we gonna like going to the movies together? This was also the movie that prompted me to get a movie subscription service because I wanted to go see this again, and then I wanted to see it. I started wanting to seeing everything, and this was 2022 when theaters were really starting to open back up. Things were starting to open up back here in the U.S. to where I could go see movies more often. And this was also the following Oscars, the first year that I had like made a point to watch like almost every single Best Picture nominated film, and was the year I watched the Oscars for the first time, start to finish. So in many ways, this movie kind of holds a lot of personal significance for me. It's everything everywhere all at
okay.
once. It's so weird, and I love weird movies. It kind of blends in like a the action sci-fi, so heartfelt. I absolutely adore Michelle Yeoh and Ki Hui Kwan, and the fact that it was like his comeback movie. Because up I watched this movie and I didn't even realize until I was watching the movie that was Short Round from Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. Because and I was like, oh my gosh, like the same guy. He'd been out of movies for a long time, and this was like his this big comeback, and him winning that Oscar, and his speech was just so heartwarming for me. And for Janelle to like this movie, because at the time we were still figuring out like, what movies do you like? What movies do I like? Are we gonna vibe the same way? And sure, there's lots of movies that I would go see that she wouldn't, and vice versa. But this was like one where I was like, oh, we can see these type of movies and both really love them. And that's one of her favorite movies of all time. And so it's always going to have this really special place in my heart. And I was really excited when it won like as many awards as it did, and it won Best Picture, because it felt like a personal win for me in a sense as well. As weird as that might sound.
Right. Um, I do like this movie a lot. It's funny because the first time I saw it in theaters as well, I was a bit late to it. Um, I think that I can't remember the exact reason, but it was in a time where I was very a bit stressed out and very
Mm-hmm.
distracted by work. So it was I think that for me, movies are many times an escape, and I think that's how true for many people. But there are
Mm-hmm.
some times where I'm just so locked in or so stressed out about something that even if I go into a movie, I just cannot get this thing out of
Right.
my mind. And it was one of those movies that, even though I really, really wanted to try, I was just so distracted by
Mm.
everything going on in my life that I couldn't connect with on the same level. So it was one of those movies where I was disappointed by how overhyped it had been for me. But then I saw it a few months later, just before the Oscars, and then I understood what everyone was talking
Mm-hmm.
about. Yeah, for me, it jumped so high from my initial reaction, which was positive. It was very good. It was not, the best thing that I have ever seen in my life. That I
Mm-hmm.
was hearing from people. Um, so yeah, it did not make my list either. It is. I was close to putting it in my honorable mention list, but
Mm.
in the end, there were others that I felt
Also,
more. Yeah,
this was the first movie that I reviewed of a few movies I reviewed that year for Movie Newsnet. It's a fun
that's
fact.
right. I remember that now. Yeah, I remember that now.
Anyway,
Yeah, uh, yeah. So okay, number three for me.
yes.
We've brought this movie up, but we have to. I have to mention it now. It is La La Land.
Okay,
La
yes.
La
I
Land
knew it
for
was gonna.
me.
I was waiting for it to make its
Yeah,
appearance.
it is undeniably in my top 10 of all time. It
Mhm.
is a movie that I have seen now 25 times, and I am counting every single one of them. It is a movie that I absolutely adore, and that I honestly cannot explain. So I've shown this movie to many people, and some of them like it, some of them uh,
Mhm.
have really enjoyed it, some of them did not understand it at all, or why I was so attached to it. It is just this movie that I feel so connected to, and I honestly don't have an explanation other than I just saw it on the right moment, at the right time. I was in the right place, however you want to call it.
Mhm.
Uh, and it just like I saw it 6 times at the movies, like when it's in theaters. It is the movie that I have seen the most in theaters. Um, yeah, I just love the experience. I like music. I love musicals, but this was just on another
Yeah.
level. I had like this whole uh, theory and about it that I developed after many viewings
Mhm.
and so on. Like I love this movie. I cannot say anything other than that, to be honest.
And
And I just
was this
I think you will really enjoy it.
I it's on my list, you know. So is this one Emma Stone? She win? She won.
She
Was
did.
this her
Yeah,
first win for Best
yeah,
Actress before Poor
yeah,
Things? Okay, that's what I thought.
yeah.
And then obviously Gosling is in this one.
Gosling
So
was nominated.
we will have to, now that Gosling's starring in a Star Wars film, we're going to have to binge some Ryan Gosling movies and do
Right.
our top Ryan Gosling
That
performances.
sounds fun.
That'd be
That,
fun.
actually, Gosling is one of those. I will defend Gosling's 2010 string of movies forever. I think that he made some extraordinary choices in the movies that he made in 2010s. I think that now it's a little bit more questionable, but
Mhm.
we'll see.
Okay,
Um,
so you're number two. You're number two.
my number two, my number two is also an even more perfect movie. I think this is one of the best screenplays of all time. I think this is well one of the best movies of all time for sure. I think this is one of the best edited movies of all time. That is The Social Network.
Mhm.
You have seen The Social Network, right?
I've not. It's number. It's on my list.
Wow.
It. So I have been trying to get Janelle. Is okay. This is. I'm not blaming. Don't blame me. I have wanted to watch this. I think Janelle would really like this movie. I know I would, and I've been trying to get her to watch it. And it's sometimes it really takes some convincing on some of these. For her to like be like, all right, I'll lock in for this one. She's very picky about what we choose to watch, and I have not been able to.
Right.
So I'm like waiting on this one because I feel like this would be one of like our movies. And this is before I let you get in on Social Network. So there's a constant battle that's played in our relationship, and it's called me suggesting movies to Janelle and her being willing to trust me to watch, knowing there's like this begrudgingly when I pick a movie she likes, it's almost like she is trying not to enjoy it sometimes because she wants to prove, because in our relationship, and she will admit this, I will have her be on a pod sometime to admit this, I have, and I this is serious, I have a 100% accuracy rating in movies that I specifically say this is for you, like I think you will enjoy this and like we'll watch it together. And there are some movies I've watched like I would like you to watch this with me, you know, because I love this, but for the ones for her, 100% accuracy rating. So I think, you know, that That's true. She wants to break that. She wants to break that so bad because I do mention that every time. I say, "Hey, why don't you just trust me on this one?" Because then it turns into we're watching what you want to watch. Anyway, I digress. But that one is one I think she would love, and I would like to watch it together. So I want you to maybe she knows we talk about movies a lot. So give me the spiel on Social Network. I will clip that and we'll play it for her and be like, "Hey, it's not just me here. This isn't just a me thing."
You know what? I will actually, I will try to do that, but what I would do if I were you was to put on the opening scene.
Okay.
The opening scene of The Social Network, I think it is in the top three opening scenes of all time.
Okay.
I think that the conversation that takes place at the beginning between Rooney Mara and Jesse Eisenberg is uh, just uh, the one of the best exchanges in the whole movie, but also like a perfect encapsulation of
Mhm.
what this movie is going to be, and uh, proving what you think that this movie, proving that you're wrong on what you think this movie is going to be. So when the first time I
Mhm.
saw it, I was like, okay, so this is going to be like a cute movie about how they invented Facebook, and you put on
Right.
the opening scene, and it's like so different from that. It's just like this portrayal of this quirky guy who just is saying like the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person, but he thinks he's in the right and he thinks he's superior to everyone,
Mhm.
and it's not like over the top about it. It's just like natural to him, and it's just if you play the opening scene, which is this perfect combination of uh, an Aaron Sorkin script just being spot on about every single word that they say, and David Fincher, the director, just being able to capture
Mhm.
this exchange between them, and like directing it, and you feel the direction, but you also don't, which is the most important aspect of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. This I think that if you put on the opening scene, which is like 5 minutes tops, uh, you will either convince her to watch it, or just convince her that this is not convince either of you that this is not the movie for you. Because if you don't
Okay.
like that opening scene, you're not going to like the movie, and if
Okay.
you do, uh, I think that you will enjoy it a lot.
Okay. I will remember that and we'll try that soon. We leave on a trip Monday. Maybe we can get back. We'll see. We got a lot of movies to go see. July's jam packed. And
Yeah.
she hasn't seen Formula One yet, so she really wants to go see that. So we're gonna go. Probably I'll go see it again. All right. Number two for me, and this is where my cardinal sin is. I told myself I was only gonna put one Tom Cruise movie in my top
Okay.
10, but you know that I cannot make a top 10 movie list with categories including personal attachment and not have a Mission Impossible action film in here. And this is like my guilty pleasure pick because I will openly admit that there are 80 movies maybe better than Top Gun, or sorry, Top Gun, Mission Impossible Fallout. But if I'm putting an action movie, this high, this is to me this is for me is the greatest action movie I've ever seen. It is just perfect from start to finish. It achieves. I want to see this movie in theaters so bad because I didn't see this in theaters. This was on my when I went to go see all the mission. I wanted to see Mission Impossible
Seven.
the Dead Reckoning,
Yeah.
part one, and I had never seen Mission Impossible before, but I wanted to go, see that one. So I said, all right, I'm gonna binge all of the movies before. And I remember seeing six, and I was so mad that I was not into like movies like that much or Mission Impossible in 2018 because that to me might be the best theater experience I would have ever had is seeing that like on an IMAX theater. And like Henry Cavill is just perfectly placed in that movie. This is just peak action nonsense from start to finish. The helicopter scene at the end, like this movie means so much to me as an individual because this is like my favorite non Star Wars like franchise. Probably it's like Mission Impossible, and so I had to put it. The cardinal sin of having not one but two Tom like action like movies in the top 10 is fine. I will openly take any flack for that, but I do not care. I needed this movie in there. I love it to death. I want to be buried with a Blu-ray edition of this movie like in my grave. Just slot that one in, DVD right in there. Or if I ever win like billions of dollars and make billions of dollars, what my grave is going to do, it's just going to have a little projector in there and it's just going to play that movie on loop for all eternity. And so that my soul will always be at a level of like hype and at rest at the same time.
I cannot blame you for it though. In fact, I would blame you more for having Top Gun Maverick rather
Of
than
course,
this movie. I think
I'll
I
own up to that.
I I wouldn't put this movie at two, but I would put this movie. I don't think I would have a hard time putting this movie in the top 25. Let's say that.
Mhm.
And I agree with most of the things you said. I don't think that this is the best action movie for me, but it must be like very close to the top. It must be like top three, top five easily. I did see this movie in theaters. It was an amazing experience, and I also think that the movie grew up on me even more after I watched
Mhm.
it. So after I watched it for the first time. So yeah, I mean, not in my top two of the century so far, but I respect the choice and I appreciate that the how personal it is to you.
So number one, I cheated,
Okay.
and I will be shocked. Like I'll be shocked if we don't have the same number one. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I will be
uh,
shocked. I
yeah,
cheated,
yeah.
and so I put Return of the King, but then I cheated and
Okay.
said I'm putting the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy as my number one. I just put Lord of the Rings trilogy number one. I
So
had Return of the King first, and I'll be shocked if you don't have Return of the King number one because it has not been in your top 10, and there's no way you don't have that.
you're gonna be shocked. Okay.
You did not.
I don't think of Lord of the Rings as a trilogy. I think of it as a single movie. I
Okay.
have
Okay.
Lord
That's
of the
okay.
Rings.
That's why I put it number one. I was like,
Yes.
it's just a thing.
So
Okay.
you're gonna
I
be
thought you were
shocked
about
because
to
I
say I'm
don't
gonna be
have Return of the
shocked, and
King.
you don't
I
have Lord
have
of the Rings.
I have Lord of the Rings
Okay.
as number one. It is my favorite movie of all time. It is there was no way that it was not going to be at the top. I think
Mhm.
that it is for me, it is not just personal attachment. I think it is genuinely the best
Mhm.
movie in the
Right.
list. So uh, yeah, just please take it away because I think I will agree with everything you say. So
So first of all, stunning to look at. Every single aspect stunning. You have brilliant performances left and right. It's one of the greatest stories ever told. I just saw Return of the King with a live orchestra, like with the movie playing live orchestra just a few weeks ago. So it's very Return of the King is very fresh in my mind. They've played over each year of the last 3 years. Played. They've done that for each movie, and I've gone to each one with a couple of friends, and so that's just been an amazing experience each and every time. I cried in Fellowship. They had some of the soloists for like some of the operatic sequences, and when they're in the Mines of Moria and Casa Doom, and you have the Balrog scene with Gandalf, and I cried at that afterwards with just the voice of the woman who was singing those like really high pitched like operatic moments. It was something that I'll never forget. I think I have an illegal recording of that. Please don't come at me, Orlando, Dr. Phillips Center, but I think I have an illegal recording of that somewhere because
as long
just
as you
listening
don't
to her voice.
profit from it.
No, I just it's a personal pleasure, right? And but anyway, and so I have a fun story with Return of the King. I vividly remember, ironically, like I was so young when that movie came out, but I remember seeing it in theaters, and my dad will joke and say that that's when he knew he had a son that he could really appreciate, when he could take this like 6-year-old or whatever and sit in the theater with Return of the King, and I was locked in because I love those movies. And second was Janelle had not really seen Lord of the Rings when we were together, and that was like a big thing. And so my birthday I think it was the first year we were together for my birthday, and it was playing in theaters like for like an anniversary or something like 20-year anniversary or something. And that's what I wanted to do on my birthday was go see Lord of the Rings. It was they were playing. I don't remember if they were playing the extended edition or not the extended edition. I don't remember, but I wanted to go see that, and she had not seen it, but she wanted to go, and I said, I do not want you like I want you to be there, but I don't want you there if you haven't seen the other two. And so she begrudgingly decided to watch the first one. She's like, all right, fine. Like, I'll watch the first one. But the first one, I said, I'll make breakfast. I'll cook food. Like we'll have eggs, bacon, all the things that she likes for breakfast. And I was like, I'll make this whole thing. We finished the first one and she goes, can we just watch the second one like right now? Like, can we just go right into it? And we did not, because I did not want to sit for another, 3 hours at that time. And the great part is she loves Lord of the Rings, like absolutely loves it, to where we don't really watch a lot of shows together either. But we watch Rings of Power together, and say what you want about Rings of Power. I know we both enjoy it, but she just loves that universe. She loves those movies, and that's something that it makes it even more special for me, is the fact that she really loves them. And to me, there's no, I can't even like, if I were to find a fault, it'd be the most nitpicky thing ever, because I just think that there's a level of beauty, grace, time, and you could see the devotion to the craft by each person involved. And then I'm sure you're so aware of just how they made these movies too, and what that was like. And anyway, take it away. Give me some more on Lord of the Rings, because I could go on for hours about these movies.
No, so actually, let me ask you a question. Do you prefer the theatrical cuts or the extended ones?
Yeah, so yes and no on both. Like, I
Okay.
think for some movies, I actually, so for Two Towers, I prefer the theatrical cut over the extended. For Fellowship, I think I prefer the theatrical cut over the extended. For Return, I actually like the extended cut, because I just want to spend as much time in that movie as possible. And there's just a couple of scenes that I wish I got in the extended cut. Like, for instance, I like watching Saruman's death and seeing that happen in the movie, and you don't get that in the theatrical
Right. So, um,
cut.
for
So there's a
me,
few scenes, extended version, that I appreciate more for Return of the King, but I would pick the theatrical cut for the first two.
for me, the I will defend no matter what the theatrical cuts over the extended editions
Hmm.
every day, all day. I think that actually the extended cuts worsen the movies so much.
Hmm.
I appreciate the argument of I want to spend as much time in this universe as I can. At the same time, uh, there's like the argument that too much time is
Right.
like a movie that is longer is not necessarily better, and that is
Mhm.
that is true for Return of the King, the extended edition. I think that the the theatrical cut is just a perfect movie.
Right.
I don't think that the extended edition is perfect in any way. I think that the pace drags so
Hmm.
much. I absolutely hate the scene where Saruman dies. I think it is so cheesy and so
Really? Okay.
yeah, it's so corny and whatever you want to say about it. Like it is
Hmm.
so over the top that it just feels out of place in this movie.
I really
And
like Theoden and Saruman's little back and forth before he does. I enjoy that a little bit, because I like seeing. I think it's part of it is that you don't need to see it, because is some of, I love Theoden in that movie. He's honestly, I'm blanking on the actors. Bernard Hill's
yeah,
performance in that movie is one of my favorites, and that him giving that little speech there right after he's told that victory at Helm's Deep doesn't belong to him, and then for him to deliver that, and then we see him be the king, and when they come to save the day. I like that scene. There's one. Let me ask you this too, about this is an extended cut scene that I like in that movie, and it's when the black ships are coming, like the mercenaries are going, and Aragorn is like crying, seeing the devastation of like the pillaging that they're leaving behind, knowing that if these people make their way to Minas Tirith, then there's no hope for his countrymen that he's hoping to someday unite. And I don't know. I love every scene with Aragorn and those. So when he's crying and we see that emotion, and then the dead people come out and they're like, "We'll fight." I that one's not in the theatrical cut. I kind of like that little moment as well, but I do get the dragging of the pace. I think that argument for Two Towers is way yes. I that one especially for me.
And for Fellowship for me as well. I
Mhm.
saw the extended edition in theaters a couple of years ago, or less than that,
Yeah,
and I
agreed.
could not wait to get out of there. Like honestly,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like if you split it in three, it
Mhm.
is up there for me. And the extended edition is just way too long for me. For me, the beauty of the black ships in Return of the King is that I forget about them until they arrive. So the
Okay.
battle
Mhm.
seems lost. It looks like there is no way out of this one, and then they show up, and then you
Mhm.
remember, okay, there's actually
Mhm.
some more aid on the way, and we can actually win this one. And it's not just some hope, it is actually like the final strike of the hammer that,
Mhm.
like, as soon as the dead men come out of the ship, you know that the battle is done.
Mhm.
and and that makes it a lot more definitive than
Mhm.
knowing they are coming,
Mhm.
because you've been reminded of it.
Do you like the scene of the extended cut, the one where Aragorn speaks to Sauron in the Palantir?
Um,
It's towards the end when he's trying to. They
uh,
have the scene where he's
yeah,
like,
no,
"We're going to." Sauron won't take the bait. He's like, "Oh, I think he will," and then it goes to him basically.
yeah.
Right.
It's been a minute since I've watched it, to be honest. I don't.
Right.
I thought that you were gonna mention when he speaks to the mouth of Sauron,
Oh,
like
right.
on
Which that one
the
too.
Black Gate. Uh, the I don't entirely dislike the mouth of Sauron
Mhm.
scene. Uh, I think that that is one of the most acceptable ones for me.
Mhm.
Uh, it's not that again, it's not that I dislike any individual scenes other than just a few. I actually think that there are a few shots
Mhm.
uh, of the Minas Tirith battle that are quite breathtaking in the extended
Mhm.
edition that are not in the theatrical one. But for me, the overall edition, and especially the fact that some of the scenes are way too cheesy and way out of place
Mhm.
in the movie, that just ruins it for me, uh,
Mhm.
to be honest. And also, I have to be honest here, and this is like a personal bias. I have the theatrical cut so well memorized that whenever I'm watching the extended edition and there's something new, I just know it instantly and I'm thrown off. And the scene has to be really good for me to actually
Right.
enjoy it.
Mhm.
But uh, putting that personal bias aside, I do think that they are worse movies for me.
Mhm. I'm glad I had a feeling we'd be the same, like number one, and
Yeah,
have those up there. Who's your favorite Lord of the Rings character from the for the trilogy?
Aragorn.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
Okay,
no question about that.
no question. I'm sure
Yeah,
you're so excited to see CGI de-aged Aragorn and the Hunt for Gollum here in a couple years for the
please don't get me
cinematic.
started on that movie.
Oh man! All right, let's get into a couple of honorable mentions. So I have three honorable mentions I'm going to bring up, and then I'm going to rapid fire some tough cuts. But and I'll hear yours. So honorable mentions for me. Spotlight was an honorable mention for me. I love that movie. Have you seen that one?
Yep.
Okay, so I love that one. And Toy Story 2 was an honorable mention for me because I wanted to
Oh, it
include
just said this
animation.
1999.
Toy Story 2 is 1999.
Yeah.
I thought it was 2000.
I do have a couple of honorable mentions from 2000 that I
It was
that did
1999.
not make the list, not for this reason, but I also wouldn't count 2000 as being part of the 21st century.
I'll include Inside Out then
Okay.
as
Um,
my animation representation.
okay. I wouldn't include the 2000 movies inside this list, but since they were included in the New York Times list, I thought that I would throw in some of them. So
Okay.
yeah, please go ahead.
Mhm. And then I put this one. This was I put Get Out was one. I
Okay.
love that movie, and then Barbie just because I absolutely adore that. And this is I think you'll have a fun time with this story. I had my AMC like membership so much, and I had gone to see so many movies in the last year with my AMC subscription. I had maxed out like almost 3 times a week and was buying tickets for Janelle to go there. That like they were like, oh, because you've reached this many points with AMC over the last year, you're invited to a week early screening to Barbie. Like, and so I got to go see it like a week before it came out, and I got to bring Janelle with me. And then we got like the movie poster. We got the little like toy car thing, and we got to go see that. It was really fun. They had like a lot of like free merch and everything, and we loved it. We dressed up for it and like did everything. So like that movie is because I when that was announced, I was like, I, this is not. I'm not going to care about this. And then that ended up being like my favorite movie of the year. And I created every year in my classroom before the year starts, my intro presentation for my classes, my for rules, expectations, what to expect for the year, syllabus, all of that. I theme it around like my favorite movie of the summer. Something that's fresh that my students might have seen, might not. And so that year I did a Barbie themed presentation, and my kids they ate it up. And it's like I think also interesting. They're like, so I have my mid 20s uh, basketball coach teacher that's over here to giving me a Barbie themed presentation. Some of the kids thought that was very interesting and funny. But anyway, so a few honorable mentions before I get into my tough cuts. But what are some honorable mentions for you?
Honorable mentions for me. 2000 movie, Gladiator. Love that movie.
Mhm.
Also used to be in my top 10. I should revisit that because now I have 10 movies above it. But yeah, I love that movie. 12 Years a Slave that you mentioned as
Mhm.
well. It is in my honorable mention. I have Almost Famous, also a 2000 movie that I absolutely adore and that I have seen a long time. I have seen once and it was a long time ago, and I should rewatch it because I
Mhm.
was instantly in love with it. I have Blade Runner 2049, which
Mm.
I think that is yeah, a masterpiece of the genre of the sci-fi genre. And
Mhm.
then the movie that was I was reminded of when you mentioned the plane story, and that if I were to actually think about this through in like more deeply, maybe it wouldn't
Yeah,
make even the honorable mention list, but I absolutely adore this movie, and that is called About Time. Have you seen About Time?
I have not.
Okay, so it's this Rachel McAdams and who's the guy who played Hux?
Okay.
The I'm blanking on his name now. Um, the oh my God, I'm gonna kill myself for this. The guy who played General Hux is Domhnall Gleeson.
Gleason, yes.
Yeah. Um, It is this romantic comedy with the two of them, with the twist that the Domhnall Gleeson can travel in time to like can fix something by traveling back in time. So meaning we go on a date and I messed this up because I stepped on your foot because right before we went through the door. So I
Mhm.
can go back in time a few seconds and just fix that in a new time. And there is not like um, no shenanigans of messing up timelines or whatever. It's just a feature of the movie, not the
Mhm.
actual uh,
Okay,
thing behind it. It is just this beautiful story about making the best use of your time
I love
and,
that.
and so on. Uh, and yeah, I love this movie. It like, brings me to tears every time I watch it, and I highly recommend it for it.
I love that. I put some surprise no inclusions. I put The Departed on there
Okay.
for I really
I
like
had
that movie.
I
Mhm.
had a Scorsese movie that I had to cut, which was Wolf of Wall Street, which I think is the
Okay.
best movie
Hmm.
he did this century.
Hmm.
But I just cut it in favor of others.
And then I cut Mad Max Fury Road because I didn't want to put like another like big action
Yeah.
movie in there. But I also, interestingly enough, I saw Furiosa before I watched Mad Max. Like I hadn't
Okay.
seen Fury Road before, and it was
How
because
did
I went to
that
go
feel?
see Furiosa, and I loved Furiosa. I thought that was
Okay.
like a super fun movie, and that prompted me like the next day to go watch that at my house, and I was like, oh, this is awesome
Yeah. Which
for
one did you
action
like
movies.
best?
So I'll be honest, I liked Furiosa more, but I think
Okay.
that's just because I saw that in an IMAX like theater, and I saw the other movie at my house the next day. People are
Yeah.
coming in and out at times, and I probably just leaned towards the one I had the theater experience for.
Okay.
And I thought Chris Hemsworth was really awesome in that movie.
Yeah.
But if the roles were reversed, I always kind of lean towards, did I see this on the big screen? Did I have like, this big experience around it? So I might lean towards that.
Right.
Anyway, any others that you want to give a shout out to before we finish it up?
Um. Let me see here. I mean, others that I have written down just very quickly. I have Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I have Past Lives, another favorite of mine
I have
recently.
passed that.
I have I have Before Sunset just because I loved the Before trilogy so much. Two of them came out this century. I have Carol, which is a movie that I have only seen once. I loved it then, but it's been like maybe 10 years. Came out in 2015, so since it came out, I haven't seen it. And but I have a feeling that if I were to watch it again, it'd be right up there. And noted down as well, Inglorious Bastards, which is my
Mm-hmm.
favorite Tarantino movie.
I have a guilty pleasure one that I put, and I'm not a big comedy person in general, like for just
Yeah,
straight up comedies. But I did go see this in theaters, and I don't. Janelle hates this about me. I do not laugh out loud a lot when I watch things. Like even when we're watching like a sitcom or watching like Abbott Elementary or some of the other sitcoms that we like, and I don't laugh out loud a ton. Like every once in a while I will, but I saw this movie and I was laughing so much. And it was The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nicolas
yeah.
Cage and Pedro Pascal. And that movie just makes me laugh. So I have that as like guilty pleasure because comedy, super funny. Like I was laughing out loud at this. And for me, that's like a big thing. I couldn't stop laughing. That movie just is hilarious. And I just
Also a
wanted to
plane movie
shout out.
for me.
What?
A plane movie for me. I saw that on a plane.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
If I had saw that on a plane, they would have hated me so much because like, there's nothing worse than the person just laughing out loud, oh, and you can't hear anything. They're just the earbuds and you just start laughing. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, last call, roll call here, last call before we round it up, finish it up today.
I've nothing else. Don't know if you have anything to add, but
No, I'm excited. Hopefully, you get a chance to go to the movies here and see some soon. I would love to talk Formula One with you. It's a fun one. It's a fun movie. It not nothing groundbreaking, just fun. And I'm gonna see
yeah.
Jurassic tomorrow. I hope it's scary. That's what I'm hoping for. That's all I'm hoping is that I'm freaked out, which isn't it's not a high bar. I get freaked out pretty easily about things and scared pretty easily. So, and then Superman, Fantastic Four. We'll see what else July has in store.
So I am watching Jurassic on Wednesday because I already have plans for it. I do want to watch Formula One. I do want to watch 28 Years Later and maybe some other that I'm missing at the moment. I just unless I like Jurassic One is an exception because I made a point with my friends to go see it on
Yeah.
Wednesday. Other than that, I have to find time for myself, and it's been hard lately.
Mhm.
I do want to watch Superman, even though I'm not like ultra excited for it, but I will watch it at some point. And then Fantastic Four, I will also watch just
Mhm.
because, not just because, but I think I will be a little bit more quick on that one because I will be less stressed out by July 25th. So
Right, because you got what, 2
um,
weeks here before the big day?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So after that, I'm gonna be just hanging out on a beach somewhere.
Breathing for a while.
Yeah,
Absolutely. All right. Well, that was fun. Top 10 lists, always a good time. Deep Space Cinema. Hopefully, we're recording this on July 5th. I'll schedule this to come out sometime while I'm gone next week. So that way we
Right.
can have full fledged stuff going on. All right. Anyway, until next time, remember, we're all the Republic, everyone. For light and life.